Hi everyone, welcome to a YouTube exclusive interview on Bridge City Podcast this week. We've got a bit of downtime because the Raw have got a weekend off. So I've got Chris here from Fun Football. We've been trying to line something up with Chris for about a year and a half now.
In a while.
Yeah, a little while. We've finally got around to it. You'll notice it's just me tonight. Sam's busy with the kids, so it's just Chris and I. And this is going to be a really good opportunity, Chris, for us to have a chat. I
Yeah.
purposely have not been following too closely, if you understand what I mean, because I was
Hmm.
waiting to have a chat with you about everything. And I know
Sure.
that you guys have you're at the game at KO on the weekend with some postcards, I believe.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. So, mate, do you want to? I know you've got a couple of initiatives and things, but do you want to just give us a quick overview of how Fun Football came along? Like the objectives, and then we can
Hmm.
sort of get into it from there, mate.
Yeah, I'll do my best to summarize it. First of all, thanks for having me. I guess it all really started after the Women's World Cup. I've told this story before, but
Hmm.
you know, quarterfinal in Brisbane, most amazing experience I've been into it for a long, long time, especially for football. And obviously, we lost the semi-final to England. The Matildas got the keys to the city.
Yeah.
Anastasia Palaszczuk announced a statue for the Matildas, and everything was going off, and all this talk about legacy. And I kept waiting for a legacy, and it just never arrived.
Hmm.
Um, so I put something out on Reddit, I think, and a few people got together, and there was another guy called Chris as well, and we started pushing for fair funding for football, and sort of we were looking for something tangible that we could actually do, like something legacy infrastructure wise from the World Cup, and we very quickly settled on Perry Park.
Okay.
Um, I think it was that, and then the Australia Cup final, which they played in Sydney because there was nowhere to play in Brisbane. Suncorp was undergoing maintenance. Redcliffe is in Brisbane. The Gold Coast is in Brisbane, and
Yep.
Sydney went on to win that final, and we were pretty annoyed. And we figured, well, this is something we could probably push for off the back of the World Cup and with the Olympics coming up, and that's how
Yep.
we got started. Um, yeah, and we did our petitions, city council, state government, really pushing to try to get that second rectangular stadium here in Brisbane, somewhere that can be used year round, somewhere that can host football and not just
Yep.
concerts in the summer.
Yeah.
Um, and that's sort of where we ended up. And it's been 2.5 years since then. We've done a lot of stuff. We did the petitions, like I said. We put in submissions to the various Olympic reviews Queensland have held, and then we kind of went quiet for a little bit. But then this recent move to KO Stadium that happened last weekend was sort of like, okay, well, let's get back out there and keep it going.
Okay.
But yeah, that's I think the best shortest summary I can give.
No, amazing. Awesome. So, I mean, I think I've got a pretty fair idea of why, but what was the reason that you decided on Perry Park?
Yeah, like um, it comes up a lot for I get a lot of suggestions for other places, but Perry Park just seemed to make the most sense to me. If you're going to have large infrastructure, you want to be able to service it with public transport. You
Hmm.
want it to be central to the city, and I only got to Redcliffe once in the COVID period because I've lived all over the shop in the last few years. Um, but it's a long way for people to go, especially for someone like yourself who's down on the Gold Coast. If you're living west of the city, I live in North Brisbane, and it's not exactly close for me either. So KO was out. Ballymore, I went to Ballymore for those opening women's A League women's games after the Women's World Cup. It's a slog to get to if you're not driving, and the closest train station's a good 15, 20-minute walk, and I was doing that in the middle of the summer. It wasn't pleasant. The
Yeah.
only thing that really made sense was Perry Park, 100-meter walk from Bowen Hills train station. Every
Yeah.
line currently services it. Like, if it's not there, I don't know where it goes.
Yeah.
Um, so that's why I went with Perry.
Yeah, cool. I mean, Sam and I think we've spoken about it on the pod a couple of times. We try not to discuss it too much because it's one of those things that every Brisbane supporter has been discussing it since, since the league started, you know. But
Yeah.
fully for me, like, you know, with Perry Park, it's got it from what I can see, it looks like, you know, it's got the room there to be upgraded.
Hmm.
Like you said, it's, you know, a quick stroll across the road to Bowen Hill Station. You're right there close to the you know, like the bottom end of the valley, that New Farm
Yep.
precinct. You got the New Farm Bowls clubs right there,
Like
Range
the boo.
Brewing, you know, 10-minute walk up to James Street.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot, and you know, in the I moved away from Brisbane in 2015, and a lot has changed down in that sort of Newstead, you know, Tenerife area.
Hmm.
In that time, the population's got a lot bigger. So yeah, I'm fully on board with it. Um, Tell us about some of the. I'm trying to remember when it was. I think it might have been something that you posted a little while ago, and it was basically an approach to the government for, you know, another rectangular stadium. And correct me if it wasn't you guys, if it was someone else, but I remember the government response basically saying, "Oh, well, look, there's too many stadiums in a short, you know, like within the vicinity. Like they're talking about
Yeah.
Cbus, Suncorp,
Yeah.
you know, all of the stadiums, Queensland stadiums, basically."
Yeah, that was the I remember that I know what you're talking about. It was the response we got to our Queensland State petition.
Okay.
So we we ran that for as long as we did, and after the city council one closed, we kind of again took a break. It was a lot of campaigning at that
Mhm.
point. But when we eventually got a response from the then sports minister Michael Healy, that was his response. It was like, oh, we don't need another stadium right now because there are four sufficiently sized stadiums within, I think it's like 80 kilometers of the Brisbane CBD. And the only ones those could be Suncorp, which, we've talked about the problems. Well, we haven't talked
Yeah,
about it in this one, but everyone knows the problems.
yeah,
Redcliffe, which is in Brisbane. Cbus, which like definitely is in Brisbane.
yeah,
And I think the only other one that made sense would be Ballymore, but like for all the reasons we've outlined over the last few years, Ballymore isn't really suitable.
yeah,
Um, and just to be clear for those people who aren't sure, yeah, public transport to the venue, not great. Deeply residential. There's nothing nearby. So if you want to have a drink pre or post match, there's nowhere to go.
yeah,
And if you were living in that area of Hurston, I don't think you'd really want 15,000 people rocking up every other weekend.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, so that's the response we got, and it was a bit, yeah, surprising. Let's put it that way. It didn't seem like the reason why um, you would say, "Oh no, we don't need another one,"
yeah,
because
yeah.
yeah,
And was the another sort of kick in the teeth, I feel, was when you know, in the lead up to the election, the Chris Foley campaign was saying that, you know, they're not going to build any more stadiums, and then lo and behold, you know, the Victoria Park project gets announced for the another AFL stadium, while the Gabba's being refurbished. For
yeah,
me, like that probably would have been another half decent option for a rectangular stadium at Victoria Park,
mhm,
for all of the things that we've discussed about with with Perry Park. I actually think Perry Park's a better option because it's closer to the valley, and
yeah,
um, also it's closer to, you know, like the ICB, which is the inner city bypass for if anyone
yeah,
who's not from Brisbane happens to be watching, which is sort of like on your way to the airport and all of the linkage to like the Gateway Motorway and et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, I really think that that Perry Park's the go. What's the latest for you guys when it comes to Perry Park? What's you said you're trying to get some momentum going again on the back of the move to KO. So you did the
yeah, for
postcards.
sure.
Tell us about that.
I will. So yeah, I'll just say I don't know if it's kick in the teeth as such, like about the Victoria Park stuff. That was definitely a site that sort of came up once or twice
Okay.
when people were suggesting alternative places. I think it's more frustrating that at the moment there's going to be an Olympic legacy for Aussie rules and cricket, which I know cricket's joining the Olympics, I think in LA, but it's hardly a traditional Olympic sport. Um, but it ultimately doesn't matter to me what happens in Victoria Park. That might not be the nicest thing to say because for me, it's really about just getting that ground for that second rectangular stadium.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so with the postcard campaign, that really came about funnily enough, just before they announced the switch to KO a couple of weeks ago.
Okay.
John Lang from the RSF came to me. He's like, I've got this great idea for a postcard campaign. And that's like, okay, let's keep that in the back of our mind. And if something comes up, we can do it. Within a week, it was like, okay, let's do it.
Yeah. Okay.
Um, so we crowdfunded through GoFundMe about $1,000 to print 5,000 postcards to send to the Premier of the Queensland State Government. I've got some here actually. I see one there.
Cool. Yep. Send them online.
There's
Yep.
the other one. Yeah, all my amazing graphic design skills, which aren't so good. Um, but yeah, we got that together. We got this printed out. So thank you to everyone who donated to that. And I went to the women's match. Uh, 2 weekends ago now, and we got I think it's about 25% of the crowd. It was a really low crowd that day, about 650, and we got just over 150 postcards. And then up at KO on the weekend, this is the first time I've got to talk about this to anyone.
Yep.
We had a great response, huge numbers of people looking to sign, and honestly, it was really heartening. It was probably the happiest day doing this in the last 2.5 years I've had.
Amazing.
Yeah, we had a lot of people volunteering. Again, the RSF really helping out, John and several others, Jeremy and a few others. That was outside the ground. And then when we got in, people were like, give us a stack of postcards and we'll make everyone around us sign them, or we'll ask everyone around us to sign them. And we got huge numbers. I think it was 3,600 people were there. And again, we got probably close to about 600 postcards signed. So it was about 16, 17%. And that's with lots of families, lots of kids. And we're pretty happy with that, to be honest. It's going really well. And I don't know when this is getting put up on YouTube, but I'm at the Matildas tomorrow night on the Gold Coast. So I'm planning to take a bunch down there as well, try to get as many signatures on those postcards as we can, and send them to the government. So yeah, we're sending these to the Premier, and the Sports Minister, and the Deputy Premier, who's the Infrastructure Minister. So
okay, fantastic.
I think we're picking up steam, and I'm quietly confident, funnily enough. Pretty happy with where we're heading at the moment, I think. There's nothing official or anything like that. It's just
a
feeling.
Well, that's it. Like, these grassroots movements, they need that momentum. And sometimes it takes, for a lot of people, a lot of movements, it takes a stroke of luck, the right place at the right time, the right person, etc. So that's amazing that you've had a really good response at the KO game. What was the general? Did you have a chat with people about the situation? Like, what was the general consensus from people at the ground? Were they sort of wanting to get away from KO?
Well, yeah, for the most part, I think it's finally built to that critical mass. I think people are aware of it. When we started the petitions, it wasn't much of a ground game. It was a lot of digital stuff. So lots of people didn't know what we were doing. And I even had people go, what's Perry Park? Where's that? They didn't know.
Yeah.
2 years later, that's not the case. Lots of people know, lots of people understand what's going on. Definitely the response generally was very, very positive. I had a few people when we were handing out by the gates look at me kind of funny, like, what are you doing? But for the most part, people were like, yeah, sign us up, no problem. And then the people who were most upset by the idea were locals in Redcliffe. A few were like, I think this should be the home ground. And it's like, that I completely understand, but for other people, that doesn't work quite so well. But even then, they mostly would sign the postcards because they get it. It's not just about Redcliffe, it's about what's best for football and the Roar on that front as well, who would probably benefit the most.
So what's the when it comes to the upgrades at Perry Park, what are some of the logistics? Like what are your suggestions in terms of the upgrade? What's going to be required, like when it comes to government funding, private funding? Like, what do you guys need to get the ball rolling when it comes to those kind of things? Is it just like that, like the postcards, things like that, getting the word back to the government and then building from there? Or like, have you guys thought about stadium capacity, all of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, for sure. Like that's something that comes up a lot. I think the first thing that happens, the postcards are there really to try to nudge the Queensland government to remind them this is a thing. When the Geeker review came out, I've heard Geeker, the 100-day review came out this time last year, nearly almost exactly. it was Perry Park will be a training venue. It will receive an upgrade. Not long after that, it got reported that Football Queensland and the state government were talking in discussions about what that upgrade would entail. So that's kind of why we went quiet. It's like, well, something's happening there. We don't want to interfere or push. But after that Redcliffe switch, we really wanted to, again, just go like, yep, look, everyone still really wants this. This is really important to us. In terms of logistics, yeah, I think the first step is the government deciding what is they're going to do. And then I guess the big picture, I don't know how it could work. It would be done in stages all at once. That's beyond me as a grassroots campaigner. Obviously, I'd love the Queensland government to come out and go, yes, we're going to build you 18,000 seats right there. No problem. Done.
Yeah.
Whether that's how it goes or not, I don't know. I'm sure it'll be a mix of public funding. I'm sure there'll be private funding. I know that, as recently as the fan forum last week, Casper Tafter came out and said, I guarantee a stadium, and that we've got the capital to contribute to a stadium. I don't know how much you can look into that. I've met Kaz, great guy. I don't think he comes out unless he really says that unless he really means it. He's a lawyer. Like, lawyers don't tend to say things that are going to get them in trouble down the line.
Yeah, hyperbole is not really a lawyer's game.
No, definitely not. That's why I'm not a great lawyer. But look, I think ideally, you want 15 to 20,000 seats. You want it to be done up in time for the Olympics so that it can help host Olympic football here in Brisbane. You want it to be not just a stadium. You want, local businesses to prop up around it. People can stay in that area, revitalize that commercial area around Perry Park. I don't know if you've been there for a while, but it's there's a lovely coffee shop. There's a Merlot there, and it's a great bar and meat place, but there's not a lot of actual places, and it could really revitalize that area. But yeah, 15 to 20,000 seats. Do it in stages if you need to, but I think we need to get there one way or another. Funnily enough, when we put in our review for the Olympic, our report for the Olympic Review, our recommendations, one of the things we talked about was, like, I guess, public crowdfunding to help with the costs. I'm personally, like, my football team is West Ham. I grew up in the UK for a bit. That was a very tragic decision my father made for the family in terms of a football team. And when they moved to the London Stadium, one of the things they did was sell bricks that are lining the outside of the stadium. And it's like, I don't know the construction cost, but if it costs $50 to make a brick and stamp someone's name on it, and you can sell it for 100, 200 to, like, have that immortalized outside the ground, that would help fund the cost of the stadium. You could sell bonds to people happy to invest their own money if they want to do that. You could sell seats inside. And the thing is, there's this thing that always comes up that, oh, it's going to cost this amount of money. It's going to cost this amount of money. That's too expensive. That's too expensive. Something got told to me really early on in this whole process. I had a meeting with someone. I've long since forgotten his name. The stadiums these days are giant billboards. You sell the naming rights. You sell the naming of the stand rights. You can sell advertising on it. They find ways to generate money and make money. So I don't think, looking at the price tag that people throw around, oh, it's going to cost this much and that's too much for the taxpayer. I think it needs to be seen as, like, this is going to generate revenue for, I think it's currently a city council asset, but, like, whoever has the rights is going to generate money off of it. And there will be taxes related to that. Or if the state government owns it, it will go back to them. Like, there's significant money in stadiums. And I think it's just going to be done right. Bit of a ramble there.
No, that's great. And I've actually got a friend of mine. He's from England originally. He's a massive Toffee. He's a massive Everton fan, and they did the same thing for the new stadium that they've big stadium that they've built. He was recently over there for the first game, and he paid an absolute fortune. I hate to think how much he paid to have, like, everyone else has got, like, a little plaque like this, and his is massive, with the big Everton symbol on it. And he would have put a fortune in, like, I'm guessing at least 20 or 30 grand into that.
Oh, wow.
So
that's the thing. There's ways to raise the money.
and there's people out there that want to help. They just don't know that the help's needed as well. I think if
Mhm.
you can, like you said, mate, get that ball rolling. Um, One little quick thing I just had on that when you mentioned that it was a council asset,
Mhm.
Perry Park. Have you guys done? I would assume so, but have you done like much liaising with council, with Football Queensland? You've mentioned that you've met with Kaz and Brisbane Roar. Like, have you got people on board from all of those angles, or are you still looking to bring people together when it comes to like putting together a consortium? I guess.
Yeah, so again, that's sort of not the logistics we've been trying to do as such,
Okay.
because I've been, the reports are there that Football Queensland and the state government are talking, and I believe the rule came out in that fan forum and said they're completely behind Football Queensland and they're negotiating. So
Okay.
we haven't felt the need as such to try to bring them together because I think they're already there. We just really wanted to make clear that like there is a public groundswell of support for this, and
Yeah.
to make that as clear as possible through correspondence. Council, yeah, they do own the venue, they do own the land, and they sublease it.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm sure that'll then become a negotiation between the state government and the city council. And look, they're both the same political party. Schrinner and Lord Mayor Schrinner and Premier Christopher are both in the Liberal National Party. The head of Football Queensland, Robert Cavalucci, was a can't remember the specific term, an MP for
Yeah.
for the Liberal National Party in Queensland. I'm sure they're all well aware of each other and are a part of these negotiations. So for
Okay.
us, it's really just trying to make clear to the state government that this is something people want.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. So on that note, mate, we might wrap it up there. But on that note, do you want to let us know the best way for people to find you guys, and what socials have you got, website, all that sort of stuff? Where can we find you?
Yeah, so probably the easiest way is actually on Facebook. We're Fair Funding for Football on Facebook.
Yep.
We do have Twitter, but we have lost access to the Twitter account. So it's mostly just going through I guess my personal account. I couldn't tell you the actual name of that. It's Chris something.
That's
But
cool.
if you type in Perry Park into the search engine, you'll find me pretty quick.
I mean, we'll,
We're
we'll
also on Blue Sky. So,
sorry, I was just going to say we'll put a link to it down in the
oh, perfect.
the description below for the video. Yeah, for sure.
Perfect. Yeah. We're
What were you
also
going
on
to say?
Blue Sky,
Yeah.
which is Fair Funding for Football again. But we
Okay.
haven't had as much on there. Football in Australia seems to still be very much on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it.
Hmm.
But yeah, those are probably the easiest ways. And yeah, if you see me around at the Tillies games, or I'm going to be there on Sunday as well for the
Yeah.
who we're playing Iran versus the Philippines
Yep.
as well. So like I'm happy to get postcards wherever they need to go, and
Yep.
we collect them and send them on. We're not asking people to go down the post office and send it off.
Okay. Cool.
Um, but yeah, so when you sign it, we take it, we'll send it off. But yeah, those are our socials. And yeah, I'm glad to finally have gotten on here and had a chat.
Yeah, mate, that's awesome. Are you going to have if you've got postcard left over, you're going to have them at the next Raw game,
Yeah,
following
probably.
Friday night?
I don't know if I'm going to be able to make that one, but again, I think John Lang from the RSF is planning to be there,
Okay.
and I'll try to coordinate with him. Um, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, we'll find a way. If we have any left over, we'll get them where they need to go and get them into Raw fan hands.
Yeah,
If
awesome.
you're not coming to the Women's Asian Cup, I'll have to get you some at the next home game.
Yeah, the
Um,
next home game, mate. Sam and I have we're just way too busy at the moment. We're both working second jobs and stuff at the moment. So at
Makes complete sense.
nights. So yeah, unfortunately the girls' games are out for us. I really wanted to go and see the Tillies play, and that sort of just before we go, there's like another can of worms as well with the whole fact that the Tillies training base is at the Burleigh Bears Rugby League
Yeah,
club
yeah, I
here on the
saw that
Gold
pop
Coast,
up the other day.
and that's a perfect example of where if there was like a 15, 18, 12,000, whatever it is, seat stadium with proper facilities in Brisbane, that's somewhere
Mhm.
where in this instance, the Tillies could be based there, or yeah, that's it's just there's so much there's so much upside to it, and yeah, I mean we'll do whatever we can to try and get the word out. I would assume that most of the people who consume our content have more than likely heard
Yeah,
of you.
probably heard of me at this point.
But if they haven't, then that's a bonus. That's an extra, hopefully, set of eyes or ears that are on it.
Mhm.
And yeah, mate, we'll try and coordinate with you after the podcast via email and stuff, and try and pick some up from John at the Raw game, mate.
Yeah, for sure.
Not going to see you there. Hopefully, see you at the next game that we get to. And it's actually been nice to not talk about Brisbane Roar for a little while because it's bloody
Been a bit
depressing.
tragic.
Yeah,
Yeah, look
Sam
at
and
like I
I.
know when you guys were planning to go up to Newcastle, I was like, oh, I've got to keep an eye out and go introduce myself, and then you guys didn't make it. So,
Yeah,
I know,
yeah.
was that say
Sorry,
Newcastle? Yeah, Sunshine Coast against Newcastle.
Sunshine Coast. Yeah, we the Sunshine Coast game. Yeah, Sam and I did go up together with Dad for the Wellington game, and that was very depressing.
Yeah,
And then yeah, so up with the whole, going back to KO for that game on the weekend, we're just like, no, we just can't do it. As much as we love Redcliffe, it's very close to our heart. It's where our family's from, but it's a long way to
a
go.
long way from home now. Well,
Well,
just one more thing on that as well. Like next year they've already announced that the Raw are only playing 7 matches at Suncorp because it's booked out. So they need to take 6 games on the road somewhere,
yeah,
and it's again a perfect demonstration of if we had a 15 to 20,000 seater stadium in the heart of Brisbane, this wouldn't be an issue. They would just play
no,
there. And I think it's a good opportunity to get up to, I don't know, Townsville or Cairns or Toowoomba or, again, the Sunshine Coast, even the Gold Coast, and a lot closer for you.
yeah,
Um, but if we had this ground, we wouldn't have to worry about it. And yeah, on the Burley front, just quickly again, that's sort of why we fill in the group. It's like we're really sick of seeing money going to upgrade rugby league clubs
hmm,
and rugby union clubs or even Aussie rules for football events. Like the Women's Asian Cup isn't for International Rugby League, it's for football. So
yeah,
why didn't it go to Gold Coast United or Gold Coast Knights or a local team like that? Anyway,
yeah, yeah.
ramble.
That's it's all tied back to it, mate. There's a lot of nuance to it, and yeah, I think that you guys are you're doing the right thing. It's something that we need. Everyone's been talking about it ad nauseum for years, and I still get the shits when I read comments and stuff online. People from Sydney and Melbourne who've got no idea what they're talking about. Why don't they just play at Ballymore? Why don't they just play at
Mm-hmm.
QSAC? And it's like you guys have got no idea. Like playing at Redcliffe
Yeah,
is like Sydney FC fans going to Wollongong for a game. Like it's a completely different area. But
yeah,
anyway, I could go on about how much that pisses me off all night. Chris, mate, thank you very much for jumping on and doing this. Apologies that it's taken us so
no,
long
no.
to do it. But yeah, stay in touch, mate, and we'll catch up at the next game that we're both going to be at. Introduce you to Sam and more than likely our father if he's there as well.
Yeah, I
I
can't
will
wait.
leave I will leave a link to the Facebook link in the YouTube comments down below in the description. And we'd love to hear everyone's comments as well down in the YouTube comments. What your thoughts are on Brisbane's best options in terms of a stadium. I think Perry Park's very good. I'd be happy to hear what some of our listeners think. And yeah, and then we'll read them out in the next podcast that Sam and I do after this has gone live, mate. We'll read those comments out. Sam and I have got a bit of I don't think we've done a podcast again for another 2 games. So yeah, we'll have plenty to talk about in the next episode, but that's going to wrap us up for tonight. Chris, thank you very much for coming along, mate. And we'll do it again, hopefully in another year and a half where there's been a lot of progress.
In the new Perry Park.
Hopefully we speak sooner when there's like something magic happens and the ball gets rolling and we can have a bit of a happier chat. But
Yeah.
and that's going to come on the back of the work that you guys are doing. So it's much appreciated, mate, from all of the fans, like what you guys are doing. And let's keep our fingers crossed, and everyone, keep an eye out down below at that link. Listen out for what the guys are doing, and let's get a boutique stadium built in Brisbane.
Thanks very much, Andrew.
Cheers, mate.